What's up, guys? It's your boy GP with DeOrganized Media, bringing you another awesome episode of DeOrganized Nightly, where we get your favorite Giga Brain Astronaut Scholars into the same room and have an awesome conversation. Discuss the latest alpha, Bitcoin news, world news, you name it, we got it. Alpha fresh and hot off the presses, but most importantly, kick out the most high-frequency vibes that you could even stand. So I hope that you have had a very blessed week so far. It is Thursday, the 4th of July, or 4th of June. It's not July yet. What am I talking about? Forgive me. My days are starting to run together. I am a busy, very busy man. Anyways, I've got some cool things to tune into today. We have a SIP discussion going down with Alex Miller as we speak. There is a space running, so I think me and the legend Jack and Switch are going to check that out. I have a brief news segment for you today because I want to get over there to that SIP. I do not want to miss anything that is going on. So let me bring up my news really quickly and let me cover this is the SIP org structure design and why. So we're going to jump into this space and listen in a little bit. Let me pull up my bookmarks and see what we got for you guys tonight. Yeah, man, hope you've had a lovely one. Seriously, it's been a high frequency week for me. Coming from Charisma, and you can follow them at Charisma BTC. Believe it or not, the Blaze-based apps run fine even with network issues because they operate off-chain. If you are not like in the know about Charisma and Blaze, you really need to be following this handle. Blaze is a subnet for stacks where you can batch transactions and have them finalize on the network later. Very, very based building. It won the Biddle Battle. Shout out to Lord Rosar. You can follow Lord Rosar on X at Lord Rosar. Speaking of, Lord Rosar is right here. Definitely give him a follow. I dare you to click this button. And what button may he be talking about? So this TV button. Wonder what that might be. I might just have to go do a little click later and see what he's talking about. But as you can see, I have liked and shared that as well. Coming out of the BoostX camp, and the handle to follow that is BoostX_app. Contest locked. Winners announced soon. Okay, so if you want to be in the know, definitely go over there and follow BoostX_app. Jump into their Discord. Follow CryptoDude at CryptoDude_BTC. And big shout out to CryptoSmith. That team is based and building on Bitcoin via stacks. Some very, very baseness coming out of that camp. From STX Watch, and you can follow them at STX Watch. STX Watch Alpha is now open for public testing at alpha.stxwatch.io. Please keep in mind that mobile is not supported yet. Yet being the key word. So mobile coming soon? Who knows? Let's see. But this is a very, very solid tool within our ecosystem. So go check it out. Coming from the Zest Protocol camp, and you can follow them at Zest Protocol. We're sunsetting BTCZ, what you need to know. With stacks now leading Bitcoin Layer 2s by BTC Supply and 500 plus SBTC on Zest, the protocol is shifting focus to SBTC and borrow markets. A new form of BTCZ should return soon. In the meantime, here's how to withdraw from BTCZ. 1. How to claim your liquidity back from BTCZ. Open the Zest app and navigate to the BTCZ section. Connect your Stacks wallet holding BTCZ. Click the withdraw button to burn BTCZ and receive SBTC in your wallet automatically. They have this infographic showing all of this here. I'll go ahead and throw that a like. The team found four failed BTCZ deposits where BTC was sent, but BTCZ was never claimed. These unclaimed funds will be refunded to the original Bitcoin deposit addresses. What's next? Once withdrawn, your SBTC can now be used as originally intended with BTCZ to earn yield or serve as collateral. For example, you can deposit SBTC on Zest for 4.0% or 0.9% APY, then use it as collateral, e.g., to borrow USDH and stake it on Hermetica for up to 25% APY. If you did not know what USDH is, it is the first Bitcoin-backed stablecoin in existence, native to BTC. Definitely love what the Hermetica camp is doing with USDH. Opt out of a failing fiat-backed stablecoin system and get you some base stablecoins backed by BTC. The funding rates are how these APYs can get so high at sometimes. They are variable, so they can change at any very moment. Definitely get in the know about USDH. It is the most based stable. Big shout out to Jacob and the Hermetica guys. You can follow them at Hermetica5. Let's see. Coming from Ace, big shout out to Ace, ChadSTX.BTC. Zest protocol. Is there some form of additional return for to the? Okay, let me move back to my bookmarks. Here we go. Coming from the Stacking DAO camp, and you can follow them at Stacking DAO. Stacking DAO has generated 5 million in revenue with just 60 million in TVL, driven by POX yields averaging 8 to 10%. By comparison, Hadel and Stakestone earned similar revenue figures even though their TVLs are higher. And the growth potential not even factored in yet. Very, very based. Liquid stacking is heating up for a reason. These protocols generate real revenue and demand for them is growing. With volumes climbing, sexes are paying close attention, especially as liquid staking gains momentum. Don't take our word for it. Let the data speak for itself. So let's click this and see what else they got right here. Stacking DAO has generated 5 million in revenue with just 60 million plus in TVL, driven by POX yields averaging 8 to 10%. By comparison, Hadel and Stakestone earn similar revenue figures, even though, okay, we read that. Real revenue is why liquid stacking protocols are gaining traction, and they unlock liquidity for the entire ecosystem. That's what helped Hadel become the top Sui LST and land a major SEX listing. But are LST protocols fundamentals really stronger than stacking DAOs? I don't think so. 80 million plus STX are deposited on stacking DAO. That's 16% of the entire STX staking market. With the Stacks ecosystem growing rapidly, TVL could soon be a multiple of what it is today. That would push ARR beyond the levels of some Ethereum L2s. And it's not a matter of if, but only when. Given that native STX staking is as cumbersome as Ethereum staking, TVL could grow even further. If Stacking DAO captures 25% of the staking market, similar to Lido on Ethereum, that's 120 million plus STX. The upside from STX staking alone is massive. On another note, the SEC has confirmed that native staking isn't a security, paving the way for ETFs to offer staking yield. Grayscale already offers an STX trust and plans to convert it into an ETF. That's huge alpha there. That positions Stacking DAO to serve as the staking provider behind it. Very, 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 very based. Another project set for a strong launch is Lombard, the leading BTC liquid staking protocol via Babylon, with 18K plus BTC already deposited. Lombard has proven that BTC LSTs have real product market fit. Now, Stacking DAO is gearing up to enter its vertical in a big way. Stacks is set to introduce dual stacking, letting users stack BTC or SDX to earn yield. This unlocks the path for Stacking DAO to launch a Bitcoin LST with a sustainable and real yield. Given Stacks is the leading Bitcoin L2 by BTC supply, the LST could see strong adoption. I love it. I love it. And this is a little infographic about how the dual stacking model works. Very based coming out of the Stacking DAO crew. We had our weekly Pokemon tournament in the Stacking DAO Discord. I am the Stacking DAO CM, so get into the Discord, have some fun, win some prizes, and connect with a base group of Chads. Very, very cool. Again, from Stacking DAO, liquid stacking is heating up for a reason. These protocols generate real revenue. Oh yeah, let me go back to my bookmarks here. No, that was my bookmarks. I was in the right place. I keep fumbling through this. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, yeah. This is a different post. So yeah, moving into the main news. Hyperliquid topped all major chains in gross profit for May 2025, surpassing Tron, Ethereum, Base, and Solana. Trump World Liberty Financial set a cease and desist to fight over its Trump wallet, escalating a feud in his 1.7 billion meme coin empire. Elon Musk warns that Trump tariffs could trigger a recession in the second half of 2025. Trump says he does not mind Elon turning against me, but insists his 1.6 trillion cut is one of the greatest bills ever. He warns a failure to pass it would lead to a 68% tax increase. Ooh, yeesh. Let's see. Over 262 million in long positions were liquidated in just 1 hour. A lot of that was James Wynn. I heard he got liquidated for the third time. Tesla shares plummet 17%, losing 100 billion in market cap. Yikes! That might have something to do with the Elon Trump beef. Trump says U.S. could save billions and billions billions and billions by cutting Elon Musk government subsidies and contracts. Wow, they really beefing right now. Uh, Romania's National Post is rolling out crypto terminals to let users fund their Bitcoin Romania accounts. Uh, let's see what else was on here. James Wynn was liquidated 3 times in a row, losing a total of 379 BTC. God, that guy's a degen. The crypto fear and greed index dips to 57 from 62 yesterday with a small pullback. Uh, let's see. What's another good one? Hmm. Okay, here we go. Uh, 13 billion European fund manager APS makes first institutional purchase of retail tokenized real estate, buying 3.4 million in Italian properties via MetaWealth. And I think that okay, wait, one more. UK gold miner Bluebird Minting Ventures to adopt Bitcoin Treasury strategy will convert future revenues from its gold mining projects in South Korea and the Philippines to BTC. Very cool. Bitmine Immersion Technologies to raise 18 million via public stock offering to boost its Bitcoin holdings. And this is the last one I'm gonna cover. Circle shares more than double after listing on the New York Stock Exchange. The stock opened at $69.50, more than double the IPO price. The, the clear investors want stablecoin issuer exposure. Very cool. Bitcoin record high. Bitcoin's 50-day moving average has just broken through 100K, its highest level ever. While it's positive for momentum, The recent fall of BTC from its highs could cause the MA to turn. Okay, right here. This is the highest it's ever been. This blue line, and I think that's it. Oh yeah, U.S. initial jobless claims for May is 247K versus 236K expected. So yeah, there you go. And I want to bring on our buddy Jackman Switch. He is also talking in that. Saw him in that space with Alex, and we're gonna jump in there and listen in as well. But the legend of all stacks legends, Jackman Switch is here. What's up, Jack?
What's up, man? It's a good conversation happening right now.
I'm about to pull it up right now so we can screen share it and listen together about what's going on. I love that Alex has these spaces. It's very, very good. I want to hear what's going on. Did I miss anything important?
No, he's just been kind of going over the rationale behind why things have been structured the way they've been structured so far. Um, and now Zenitron's asking about some KPIs when it comes to community stuff. But it's very good discussion.
Let me see about if this is working into where
the
we can
currency
hear
in the
it.
ecosystem. And
And I'll turn this down here on the music. All right, can you hear on your end? Because I can't hear on my end. Is anybody
No.
talking?
we should
There he is. I hear Zenitron.
Okay.
we should
Huh, weird. I can't hear him on my end. Maybe if I tried to request the mic.
to
My
make it more
microphone's in use. Here, I'm
simplifiable.
gonna have to try to close. This happens sometimes to where I have to reopen the tab. Sometimes in spaces. It happens. It happens. So I get it. Do you think you could share your screen so we could hear what's going on?
Let me try.
Okay. Because my thing goes, it does weird shit sometimes. Let me see. Alex Miller. Might have had it muted, but I don't know.
Let's see here.
Weird. I can't hear it on my end.
Importantly, where Stacks can differentiate from all the other chains out there that are trying to get attention and things, right? Like we are the OG, like programmable Bitcoin chain. We have a credibility, we have a developer base, we have a technology that like none of these other things that are kind of faking being Bitcoin chains can do, right? And using like the hook of Bitcoin DeFi and of Bitcoin yield to pull people in so that they see the momentum, so that more investors are interested to fund other projects as well, so that we end up building the entire Bitcoin economy is what we're like. That's just, it's a strategic element as opposed to a visionary element, right? The vision, whenever I talk to anyone, whether it's, community members, builders, developers, users, folks at the Stacks Foundation, and I mean, look, I could drop a picture from Hero's strategic stack, as we call it here, right? And under the vision for Hero, it's building the decentralized global economy on top of Bitcoin, right? It's all of those things. And so that's, separating the vision from the strategy. When you think about that, okay, so fine, that's the current strategy thing. All of the elements, I've seen people ask well, you're going to focus it all on new user onboarding, right? Or pulling new developers into the ecosystem, or is it just going to be, for people who, already have apps and things? And it's no, I mean, of course we are you can't have a living, breathing ecosystem if you do not have, new people always coming in and participating, and you're not addressing and working with developers and builders and users of every stage and every stripe. So like absolutely, it covers the entire life cycle of both developer and user journeys.
I'm glad you brought up like the vision versus strategy, because that's kind of a topic I want to talk on too. Which is
Yeah.
like, it's like the where are we going and the how do we get there, you know? And like obviously, you know, a lot of people have different ideas for where we're going, and this is not like a new concept, and like, but I do think it's worth just talking about, so we're all aligned on like the end game, you know, like. And I think visualizing it more, like what does that look like? Like what does this Bitcoin economy look like for creators, for artists, for DeFi? Like painting a clear picture, I think is a healthy exercise. Because then it becomes more clear of like, okay, this is where we're going. Like we're in a jungle and we're trying to get to this sort of waterfall oasis place, but we don't know where it is. Then it becomes like the strategy of like, how do we actually get there? And you start having to think like, okay, like this first year we're going up this mountain, and then we have to split up into two groups, and one person has to go build a bridge, and the other group's gonna like, you know, go to the other side of the mountain to do something like it becomes a more strategic thing. But to understand where we're going, you start to mentally figure, okay, like what operationally do we need to.
They just removed me from the space.
I think like talking about priorities is
Weird.
important, because ultimately like they're dictated by the end vision. So I'm big on vision statements and, you know, mission statements and all that. So I think that's definitely worth doing.
Yep, I agree. I think that's, you know, that's how you
I can't even access it.
an autonomous operation for people, is that it's really hard to do that if people don't understand what everyone else is doing and like, are we building towards a common thing, right? So again, like there's a few hero developers on the call here. Like they can tell you how when it comes to like internally at Hero, every single week we throw up like the vision, mission, values, strategy, and priorities, what we call our strategic stack up there, at all hands and walk through it right before we talk through like our monthly goals. And the reason for that is I'm just a big believer, like that's how you enable people to work independently and have like control and autonomy over what they're doing, because they can just immediately understand like, all right, well, if this is what the overall mission is here and this is the thing we're trying to create together, like I can come up with something that goes into that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's like really the only way to do it for like decentralized teams.
Yeah. And again, those evolve over time, right? Like a vision statement, you know, and a shared vision's a 10, 20, 30 year thing that is set, right? Missions maybe about as long, but a little less so. But when you start getting into things like strategy and whatnot, like those update every 18 to 24 months, you know, priorities update every 3 to 6, because again, that goes to like how you check, you know, you're checking things off the list, you're accomplishing them, you're adapting new information from the world and what's going on. And, you know, as I've said, like crypto moves ridiculously fast, right? We constantly get new inputs. We constantly find new things. And being able to adapt to those things quickly and, you know, integrate them. And again, obviously conversations like this are really important to that, but like, that's why, you know, we've got to be adaptable, and we've got to just have that mindset of like, hey, what we thought was true a year ago may not be true. We might invalidate that. And like, that's a good thing, because it means we learned something, and it means we're that much closer. Hold on, making sure I'm in the correct lane here. It means we're that much closer to the end goal.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes the landscape changes, you know, like my mental model for this sort of stuff is like dealing with unknown unknowns is like, I don't know if anyone's played like real-time strategy games where you start and like the whole map is fogged out. You can't see anything. Usually the first thing you do is just send out like scouts to explore and like turn these unknown terrain into like, you actually see, oh, there's a mountain range here. Like this is the lay of the land. And then you can start forming a strategy, because you know you can't just go straight toward your target. You know, there could be an impassable mountain range, and you actually had to go the complete opposite direction for miles and miles to get towards your destination. And I feel like we're past that point in Stacks now. We have scouts, we know the lay of the land. There's been a strategy in place for a long time now to attack this Bitcoin DeFi space. And I think it's a good strategy. That's why I've been in it for this long. But like you said, the strategies change over time. Like more and more capital can maybe be allocated to like retail culture, things like that. So I agree. I think, I'm just saying this because I think it's a helpful way to think about this sort of stuff. Like you're going to a destination, you don't even know how to get there. But yeah, I think it's just, I guess what I'm getting at is, we still need that ability to change priorities at, even if it was already planned, like as time moves on, you need the strategy changes and priorities change and you need to shift into the next phase. So I'm in agreement there too.
You know, I will say this.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry. Just real quick, I want to say we've made a lot of progress in the last couple of days.
no, you go ahead, please.
Am I delayed?
I can hear you fine. Go for it.
Okay. I was just gonna say we made a lot of progress in the last couple of days as far as the community feeling heard and the participation actually having an effect and an outcome on what is the outcoming SIP design. And I really think that that's gone a long way. The dialogue's been great. It's been open. It's exactly what it's supposed to be as far as the SIP process. Some people have been asking questions about what the oversight actually is. And I just want to, as I understand it, and I could be I think this is accurate. Basically, once the Treasury Committee is established and the endowment is established, the only hard oversight, aside from just general feedback, which is impactful, by the way, that's not nothing, but the only actual oversight action the community can take would be through the establishment of future SIPs. Is that correct or not entirely correct?
That is correct. Like SIPs are the way that the community would go about it. I'd say there's lots of direct interaction points, but when it comes to like modifying things, it's basically, you could analogize it to, it's similar to a consensus level change. And the only, just like on the chain from a technical basis, if you want to make a consensus level change, you do it through a SIP.
I see GP came up on stage. Buddy, are you running your show at the same time as rocking in the space here?
I am running the show. This is live
He must
on
be on
DeOrganized
the show
Nightly.
right now.
Yeah.
And does anyone else have questions that they want to come up and ask, or anything any input that they have on the last?
I am running the show. This is live on DeOrganized Nightly.
We got some lag.
Sick.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm just curious. My question looks like this. From purely economic standpoint,
Looks like it's
what do you think?
back
Can DeFi product on stacks sustain attractive yield
at the same time.
without an active user community? And I'm talking not about social thing, I'm talking about math and economics. So can it sustainable
But at least they know that we're here and we're live.
applications? What is your vision?
Let me repeat back and make sure I understand. Are you saying, could you have a sustainable DeFi ecosystem on stacks without other applications?
Yeah, correct.
Sure. Probably, but I think that also sounds more boring than an ecosystem and less fulfilling of the Stacks mission than an ecosystem that does have others. I think you could probably, if you really cracked how to do Bitcoin lending well, I think that alone is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity that could potentially sustain an entire chain and ecosystem. But I think that's kind of boring. That could also just be a company. You don't really even need a chain for that. So I think, like I said, I think DeFi is going to be a big part of any go forward. Again, especially when you're talking about being connected to Bitcoin like we are. But yeah, I think it's far from the only thing. And I think, success begets success, right? Momentum begets momentum. Like just economies are more vibrant when they are diversified. Also, frankly, to that matter, there are times where like different things are going to be more popular than others, right? And if your chain is only good for one thing, if you're going to potentially die off, or just the downtimes are going to be a lot worse for you than not, right? Whereas if you're diversified, and again, if you just have like, it's a lot easier to retain, it's a lot easier to go, and that way you're just in a better position all the time. So yes, you probably could build the DeFi only chain, but I think it's a lot more boring than if.
Yeah, I would tend to concur. Like, yeah, could it be? Yes. But is that really what's going on here? No, not really. And I mean, there's way more on stacks going on than just DeFi. Although it does kind of lead back to, without DeFi, the other stuff probably can't get to the other stuff functionally
Yes.
well. So DeFi comes first.
And
Yeah, DeFi
I think
comes first.
Well, yeah, I'd say it's DeFi is like part of the base that pulls people in, because again, like if you're talking about a lot of the other stuff, it's much harder for us to distinguish ourselves and attract people and say, hey, come build here instead of on Solana or Arbitrum, or I don't know, any of the other hundreds of chains that are out there. But if they're already here, if there's already this vibrant ecosystem, if we're already like shooting up the chains and like being very clear that this is a place we want to be, they're going to come here for one thing, and then they're going to do everything else too.
100% correct.
And then, of course, again, it leads to more funding for all of the builders in the ecosystem. And then, so that's when people start building everything else, around it too. And people start coming for that instead of the DeFi. And like, that's the end state, like, that I'm looking to get to.
Yeah, I have to jump deep to understand, because my question for sure related not about this is boring or not about social aspect or humanity. I'm just trying to deep understand the mathematics and economics in the long run, sustainable of things like. So right now I feel it's like a holy grail. So we have just holy grail with APIs, and we can just do DeFi and earn forever. Like it sounds like this.
I think it would be. I think one way to say it would be that, because the question you asked was, is it sustainable with DeFi without other apps? Which the answer is yes, but the more economic activity means more economic output and capacity. So DeFi with all these other great apps that are being built on stacks is a much stronger proposition. So it's still important, but crypto in general doesn't. The development of crypto kind of first has to touch on the financial aspect of it. The underlying financial layer has to actually be functional and working for all of the other app layer stuff to actually have an economy built on it. All the financials of the economic system have to be sound.
One point I kind of want to make is like, until we have like full chain abstraction and you don't even know which chain you're using, if that does ever happen, like I think the reality of the way people use blockchains is sort of like they're like cities. Like you kind of live in one, you might travel and visit another, but you more or less have your home base that you operate out of and you're comfortable with and you know. And like, what kind of cities do you want to live in? Like, what kind of towns do you want to live in? You want to live in a town that's like diverse. It has like good, music, good, like there's job opportunities, there's, culture there. Like, towns that like just do one thing, like sort of like, let's look at like some of these Ohio towns that just did car manufacturing, like it's not very sustainable. Like it's You know what I mean? It's like a single point of failure. Only
Yeah,
one.
it's absolutely. And again, if you look at the origin of the chain and the people who came to work here, Mitchell talked a lot about this a couple days ago, back on Tuesday on the space that he was doing. Like, the dude's an artist originally, and a marketing guy and an artist. Like, he doesn't like, yeah. To that point, the vibrant towns have lots of different things in them.
I agree. That's why I like Chicago.
Yeah.
Good cost of living.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. All right, what's our next question?
I think the next person up, well, GP didn't ask a question, but I'm not sure if GP, did you have a question? Otherwise, we got Nosferatu, we got Sadiq, and we got Fair Launch all on.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm also running a live while we're listening in here. Me and Jack are on the organized nightly. Figured it'd be good to stream a little bit of this. As far as the question, I don't know how much was discussed before I got here. But the community grants program, how exactly would we go about, what does that type of process look like for securing a grant? Has there been any elaboration on that yet? I haven't had time to kind of check out the new draft.
Yeah, so the draft lays out, I'd say, like, the overall structure and intent of the program, and team would need to like put together the actual application. But I'd say, so the intent of it is that if you are building something, whether it is part of like kind of the current priority focus of the chain, right? And this goes to like the diversity of the chain thing. But if you're building something that, especially if it's like not likely to make money in the short term, but it makes the chain a better place. It makes the community a better place. It's good tooling for it. So like, just to be frank, like DeOrganized Media probably falls into this camp, right? People building alternative explorers on the chain. Like it's funny because of course Hero makes like the Hero Explorer for Stacks. I think it's good that there is another explorer in the ecosystem and that people are playing with that kind of thing, right? So, look, if you have something that looks a lot like a business and is building like a critical piece of infrastructure, we already have like very well established things. And, there's obviously critical bounties, which still fundamentally come from the community, but like are sort of like, hey, we need this piece of infrastructure. But if someone's going to come along and say, hey, I think this thing would be good for the community, I want to build it, let's do it. That's what we want a community grants program to cover. And it could be a product, it could be a media campaign, it could be an art project. There's all, again, it's like very open-ended. The other thing is when I was chatting with folks about it, it was like, well, do we like put a cap or a set amount on it? And it's like, well, no, because again, there's things that might only need a couple $1,000s and there's things that might need $100,000, right? And there's no reason, I think, to artificially constrain it there. So the idea is you'd fill out, again, a public application that says, hey, here's the thing I want to do. Here's my plan for it. Here's how much I think I need. And, I think you have different levels of scrutiny. If someone $1,000, right? Or, if you say I'm going to like do like this mint, it's going to be a couple $1,000 or whatever. Okay, that's one level of scrutiny. If they're like, hey, I want to build this whole thing and I need $250,000, you're probably going to break that down and require some phasing and things, just like you would with any grant, where you're not just going to hand someone $250,000. And so you'd have that process. All the applications are public. Add feedback to what they think. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're just going in and out for a second.
Yeah,
Might need to repeat that last one.
Okay. So add feedback and things to it, and then those grant on. We got to figure out the exact cadence basis, if not more frequently, committee or by a subcommittee that's set up, fulfilled. The reason, put this in the explanation, the reason for, oh, can you hear me?
Kind of.
Mostly. I'd say like 75%.
You're
cutting off a lot.
Okay.
I can jump in with a point
Someone else come talk.
while your signal. Yeah.
Well,
Okay. So one thing that occurred to me when we're talking about this and like talking about KPIs is like, let's go back to this like a blockchain's a town scenario. Say there's this like amazingly gifted like artist or musician in the town, and you know they have an amazing skill. They could probably bring a lot of value to the town. I don't think the way they would do that is going into like City Hall or like the biggest engineering firm in the city and being like, I have musical talents and gifts, fund me, because they wouldn't even know how to measure or leverage their skills properly.
right.
What this artist would need to do is like work with like a label or a brand.
I think
And then that,
for grant applicants, especially somebody that's building something new and or novel to the ecosystem, the KPIs will kind of come out of the proposal. You know, whatever it is that they're proposing they're going to do will kind of present
this is what I'm saying
KPI
is that
opportunities.
we need different KPIs for different domains. Like the set of KPIs that you would measure from like a DeFi project are going to be very different from the KPIs you measure from a cultural project or a game project. Like I think like this
I
board
agree.
needs like domain specific experts, like someone who's like knows how to take like an art project and actually translate that into like measurable, you know, like performance for, you know, an organization or a community or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And again, so I was going to say, actually, that's part of the reason that I think having it run through the Treasury Committee, as opposed to like just a straight voter, like how much can you drive a KPI, is that's what allows people to have the context on what it is, right? And I think you're also right that the smaller, you know, if you have new people coming in, like maybe they don't know how to apply for the grant, but there's no reason that you can't do it where someone basically makes their own grant program that they get a grant for. And, you know, for anyone who knows how like the venture capital industry works, right? Like you have a giant endowment like Harvard and they give money into a fund of funds, right? Because they need to deploy $5 billion at a time. And that fund of funds invests into like a venture capital firm. And that venture capital firm invests into an incubator. And that incubator invests into, you know, like an individual project with 20 grand, right? And I think you actually can very much do a similar thing here where, yeah, an individual artist isn't going to come ask for a grant, but like Peace Love, if you had a vision for a set of artists, you know, you want to say, hey, I want to go bring a group of artists, I need 50 grand so that I can go give 1,000 each to 50 different ones to come in. Like, I think that's a great way to do it because it makes you the owner, right? It makes the person, it turns everyone who has a vision of a thing that they want to do, it gives them the resources and most importantly, the accountability, right? It's the ownership of saying, hey, this is on you to figure out and do and deliver as opposed to like just some large amorphous group or something.
Yeah, that's something that I could use for like the Galactic Art Collective there, Jack. Like,
Nosferatu.
something like that, getting
How
a
are you
structure
today,
down.
man? I talked to you earlier
Yeah.
this morning. What do you got for us?
I'm having a beautiful day. Well, it's 1:01 a.m. here in Western Africa, Nigeria. So I just hopped in to ask a question. I actually wanted to, expand on Zenitron's question on diversification and how the main question I wanted to ask, but I feel like Zenitron has asked it already, is if stacks can actually function with just BTC Fi as its only export. I kind of relate it to a country that has only one export, like Nigeria with crude oil. If you only export one thing, it would get boring. But yeah, speaking on diversification, the use cases in a world post SIP. In a world post SIP, I want to know like how exactly would these diverse use cases be implemented, or what is the future for these diverse use cases?
Yeah, I mean,
If that makes any sense.
I think so. So as you know, again, nobody really wants a chain that doesn't have that is like DeFi only or doesn't have this larger set of applications and things around it. So I can't tell you exactly what is going to get built, because there's a reason I build dev tools. And the reason I build dev tools is that I'm terrible as being a future visionary about like what the next cool app is, but I really like building the tools that people use to do that, because that makes me part of the process on it. So yeah, I can't tell you what all the different things that are going to get built are. I can just tell you, I know that like my vision for the chain, the vision for the chain that of everyone that I've talked to is, like I said, this entire economic system on top of Bitcoin, and not just something that's DeFi only.
So can I mention something? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily on top of Bitcoin, it's inside the Bitcoin blocks, right? We're just utilizing the space that's already there, that has been unutilized.
I am not getting into a pedantic what is a Bitcoin layer thing, but yes, it sits inside the Bitcoin block. We usually refer to it as being on top of Bitcoin because people think in the layers concept and whatnot. But yes, the data is ultimately stored and secured by Bitcoin by writing it into Bitcoin blocks.
I concur. Can I add another thing?
Yeah.
So as you guys are mentioning DeFi is like an all-around decentralized finance, right? It could include serious DeFi like yield on Bitcoin or SBTC, but it can also include meme coins that happen to do what's called a parabola, an X square function. So the price is square of the net injected liquidity, right? So just like the Uniswap invention is one of the best inventions there was. I was there right in the beginning, Uniswap 1. I aped Hex, if you heard of it. I made close to 10,000x.
So what's the
That's
do you have a sip?
Can I have some?
Do you have a sip question, bro?
Yes, so I don't have a question. I do my own research. So the SIP 031, one way or another, you guys need finance, you guys need money for marketing. But the best marketing there is the green candles themselves and the hype. So you have to have a network effect. You have to have users. You have to have people who are just regular plebs.
So you're saying instead of a marketing campaign, we should have a green candle campaign.
In addition to.
It's hard to sustain that kind of a campaign, though. You know what I'm saying?
In addition to, I do know what you're saying. In addition to.
It's every Stacks pump in the last 2 years has been very correlated with some.
Is this NOS for top?
There was
Is this
one
NOS?
2023. That was like
Is that
ordinals.
NOS that was talking?
You know, like
Yep.
ordinals coming about. Like that was a developer-based
I believe so.
innovation. Like no one planned that. It was just like people were just hacking away, and like someone built something cool, and people just like kind of rushed into Bitcoin. And then December, it was like just like wealth and SPX 20. Yeah, and then like you know, people starting to build on Wells, and then people launching new meme coins. Like that whole wave was just devs like building on Stacks. And I think it's very clear. I don't know exactly what the next thing is going to be, but a dev is going to build it. And so we need 10x more devs actively building stuff and 20 times more funding to these people to give them resources to build stuff. Like, I don't know which one's going to win, but that's how it's going to happen. You know, someone's going to build something cool,
Absolutely.
and they're going to like rush in to use it. We just need that to happen more.
And that's literally, and that's literally what this entire thing's about. How do we get more shots on goal? Because one of them's going to go in.
That's the only way to think about it, in my opinion.
And kind of coordinate the collaboration that's already going on in the space. You know, it's a way to.
And again, especially. Oh yeah, what I would say is like even if the core innovations are coming from individual devs, which I think they are, the infrastructure that they need to do it has to come from like a team working together to produce it, right? Like if the chain does not fast and reliably produce blocks, if we don't have bridging, if we don't have a stable coin, like Tier 1 said, like none of this stuff's really going to happen because that's the prerequisites that the devs need to build with.
So Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna
So
say, like, you know, if SIP 10 wasn't made years prior, someone couldn't have made Welsh a year later, and then it popped off like 2 years later. So yeah, there's primitives we need. I agree. Go ahead, Zeno.
yeah, so we have very smart people today here, and we have Alex, and we can ask, and I can finally understand my questions because I'm asking it not about like boringness or social effect. So I want to just to step by step understand the nature of things, how the network works, because I am a very OG here, but the proof of transfer is very interesting consensus. But in the same time, as you said, the chain could work mathematically and economically sustainable without any like other dApps. It means like, okay, let's go. The first step, the miners sending BTC and winning the stacks blocks. So to be break even, they selling these stacks to the market. And the question arises that these bitcoins will go into APY for people who put their stacks to staking. But the question arises, what if they dump these stocks to the market? Who will buy these stocks and why? So the people who buy the stocks, it should be people who put them into DeFi products, right? But the yield from DeFi products come from transaction fee also, right? So we should create a lot of transactions fee. If I'm correct, just say it, or maybe I mistake somewhere because it's very important to understand the nature of things, how everything works step by step. Because now we can understand this economical sustainability on long term. Because we have like smart people here, for example, Rosa, Peace Love Music, and the others. And for my perspective of view, I want to understand how the chain works.
We need people smarter than me. On that note.
Yeah, I was gonna hold on one sec. Sorry, I'm doing more complex merges. So unfortunately, I missed about half of what you said there, thanks
Yeah,
to the cell phones
so
cutting out.
yeah, so
But
the
it sounds
miners mining the blocks, and they have to be a break even. They sell their stacks to the market.
or they hold them because they think they're going to go up. But yeah, usually
Yeah,
miners are going to arb.
but it means they are losing. Yeah, if they hope the stocks goes up, they hold. But to be break even, they sell in these stocks right now. So who could be the buyer of stocks? If we building only DeFi products, it means like the person who come and buy the stocks and put these stocks to the DeFi products and lock these stocks to get the yield. This yield coming from this BTC, but this yield is also coming from the fees of the network, right?
Yeah, the yield, the BTC yield comes primarily from, not primarily, comes from the miners. I think there's other things we're looking at as to how you do that in the future, in particular, like the abstracted SBDC based gas fees, where the protocol basically charges you extra money for the privilege of you being able to pay for your fees in SBDC and then swaps it on the back end to STX. Which I think is going to be really interesting and really powerful because that's very good from both a user experience perspective and also from like a just chain a protocol revenue perspective, which then can ultimately funnel back to the community, either by going into the treasury or again getting burned and reducing the overall emissions for it. But you did
Yeah,
bring up,
that's okay.
you know,
Just
this ties
imagine we
into.
don't. Just imagine we don't talk about SBTC, how the network works without SBTC before. So, who receives these fees from transactions?
Users of the network.
No, I mean the users when they make these transactions, where these fees goes to the miners or what
Oh,
or to the
currently,
yield.
yes. Fees go to the miners.
So this
But
is the
indirectly, that also flows into yield because based on, the
yeah.
amount of yield is dependent on how much a miner is willing to bid to try and win a block based on how much they think it will be worth to them.
Yeah, great. Now we logically understand that velocity of the transactions is very important. So the more transactions will be made in the chain, it means the more miners will get the profit, right?
I mean, yeah, the more attractive mining is, the more competitive it will be.
Yeah,
We've already
so
seen that be the case.
so the question arises, if we have only DeFi products, how can we make a lot of transactions?
But again, nobody's arguing that we should have only DeFi products.
Yeah, I understand, but I try to understand it logically and mathematically, not about like the boring, or I'm just now sitting and trying to understand the economical thing of the network.
I mean, I think it all comes down to how active those things are, how expensive the contract calls are, how popular the different protocols are.
Right, correct. So my
That's
question is,
part of what the free market solves for, ultimately.
yeah, but the problem of only DeFi products is they don't need to make transactions because it's just a deposit, one transaction, one-way transaction.
I'd say there are different. It depends on what the product is. As people have said, there's DeFi covers a lot of different areas. But again, I guess I want to try and bring this back to the SIP and questions that people have on that, because like we could totally do another call on like the operation of the chain and the mixes of that. But since
Yeah,
we only have
sure. No,
really
I'm
another 20
I'm
minutes.
just trying to explain why non-DeFi products is important from the economical and mathematic aspect of view. That's my target here.
Well, we're in agreement on that.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that. Like, no one's saying that DeFi is the only important thing. It everything is important, and
Yeah, I agree.
SIP is.
But now we understand that DeFi is not about the boring. It's important because like it's make the non-DeFi products make a lot of transactions, and these transactions fees goes to the yield. That's how the network works. Our network, our ecosystem.
Right. The DApp project
You know what?
get more engagement and more transactional volume than DeFi could.
Yeah, exactly. It's not social effect. It's how the network works from economical sustainability.
All right, I'm going to propose we use civilization style. We elect one person for 3 months, and then they have 5 advisors. We tell them they each want to tell them about different incentives. One's DeFi, one's NFTs. No, actually, I do want to talk about the like who has the say to like spend funds, like how long these terms are.
Sure.
Can we get into that?
Absolutely. So again, if we just look at like how operations like this are normally run and what this is based off of, you set an annual budget, or really you set a 10-year vision, you set a couple-year strategy based on that vision and the current things, and then you set an annual budget of like what are the things we're going to invest in and try and get done, right? That is done as I think like all of that's, I'd say, well, certainly the vision part, the overall strategy is kind of a collective community exercise. It always has been. That's always been something that's been discussed and figured out between a lot of different contributors in the ecosystem. The annual budget is set really in collaboration between the endowment and whatever operational entity they're funding to execute their mission, right? The mission of the community in that. And so, obviously annual budgets are often going to be based on the prior ones. You've got a certain number of devs you know that you need to do. We've also got plenty of data already on like what things cost, how much a developer costs, how much an integration costs, what those investments are needed. And, again, like the Stacks Foundation, right? We just ran months and months and months organized foundation with the entire community of laying out like what the roadmap is for Stacks for the next 2 years, right? We've got this really clear picture of what needs to happen and what needs to get built, all of those community discussions. And so now it's just a matter for like your head of engineering to go and scope out what money and resources and how to actually build it and get it done. And so they basically present that annual budget proposal. It goes to the Treasury Committee, who says, yes, this is good, this is not good. We will fund this, we will not fund it. And then they write the check in air quotes, right? Or they make like the allocations from the overall budget based on how much is available in the endowment. And then actually, obviously, like issue the transactions, whether that's Bitcoin, stacks, USD, whatever it is.
And they might hold some sort of like multi-sig or something, or is this like fiat based? Okay, multi-sig. All right.
Well, it'll be everything. So people have asked like, hey, why are we only issuing STX to do it? And the answer is because STX is the only tool that we really have at our disposal there. There might be the ability to like pull the proof of burn stuff. We could talk about that later. But the Treasury, like the chief investment officer of the endowment, who's responsible for, again, making sure there's always a lot of money available to use. Like, I'm sure we will be diversifying into a combination of fiat, Bitcoin, STX, maybe other investments, whatever, because you'll have to spend from kind of each of those different types.
Has there been a discussion around like while we're holding this STX to wait to issue it, can it be invested like in the ecosystem?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like that's that entire like 27% that is working capital. A big chunk of that is exactly like, that's why it's called working capital, is that what's supposed to happen is you deploy it into things and it makes you money, not gets spent.
I mean, might as well dog food the treasury while we're sitting on it.
And like, and like one of the questions people got, like, hey, if you're deploying this into liquidity and different things, like, shouldn't the apps have to pay for that? And it's like, yeah, the endowment absolutely should be getting paid the same as any other LP deploying into something, whether it's into a venture fund, whether it's into a liquidity pool, whatever.
So
and these just will be.
Yeah. So these treasury board seats, like, how do people get on those, and how long do those term limits last?
Yes. So right now the proposal is there will be 9 seats. 5 of which are key holders and serve indefinitely. The other 4 of which are rotating members every 36 months, basically, and you off stagger them, so it's 18 months they rotate.
What happens if one of the indefinite
reason
people
it was
dies?
set up like that? Birds of the trade making up the new one.
Oop, I think you broke up.
Yeah, we might be losing Alex.
There is again. Is it any better here?
It's still a little like buggy. I would say just give it 30 seconds.
Yeah, let me just real quick. I just want to. Sadiq's been up on stage for a while, and I also want to hear from James Hodl Stacks. He's been up for a little bit. So Sadiq, what do you got for us? Anything specific to the SIP? You're still with us? I'm going to assume Sadiq's not with us. Hodl, what's up, brother? How are you tonight, man?
Hey, doing good. Sorry I missed the first half of this call. I had a dinner, but yeah, great to hear from you, Alex. If you can hear us, really appreciate you taking your time and talking all with us. Yeah, I mean, I think I really appreciate all the talk of governance. I also am like a big reminder to people that, the roadmap that we have. I'm curious to hear when Alex gets back that the roadmap that we have, I imagine a lot of these funds are kind of tied to specific endeavors, and would be curious to hear if he's back with us, more or less just kind of what he envisions things might cost generally, or how quickly we might be able to get some of those things, and what would be considered like a success. Like if, a year from now happens, we pass this, I'm not talking about dollars or anything like that, but what kind of achievements can we look to see happen from it, and where we would view that as successful or not successful. I think that would really be good. I think it's kind of an undersold point of all these discussions.
Alex, how's your audio?
Yeah, we might have
I don't
lost
think we have
Alex.
Alex. I think we've lost him.
For good.
He's made himself exceptionally available for all of these. I don't have the ability to answer that question, unfortunately, or even kind of really weigh in. I think it's an excellent question.
Looks like we lost Alex. And,
We're gonna close out the space. It was a great space, guys. Tune in 10:30 tomorrow. We'll be focusing on space following at 11:30 tomorrow. So tune in. You'll have more opportunity to ask some questions. Alex,
Peace. Roser was saying something real quick.
I was saying that let's keep the space open for a little bit. I just want to talk more about these.
well, I can't close it anyway. It's up to Alex.
yeah, so they're going to keep it open. Are you still in there?
No, I X'd out. I figured it's cooked at this point.
They're still talking a little bit about stuff, so I'll share my screen. If you got somewhere to be.
No, I'm good, man. I'm here with Giga Peppy, brother.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm trying. It's been a good conversation, right? Like, I really want to ask about these. So we spoke a little bit about, community nodes and stuff like that on the morning show. Hero was a big fan of that. Like maybe we spin up a community node and see what happens from it, right? So maybe Alex might get his connection back. So here, let me go here and share my screen now.
Just like as far as like replacing somebody that wants to step down or has an unfortunate situation happen and they can no longer fulfill. That actually gets determined by the rest of the committee. Under the current setup, they would replace people there.
Okay.
I believe that's accurate. As far as like if a change needed to be engaged in or performed or initiated by the community, that would happen via SIP. So the community could actually change personnel in the endowment via SIP if they so desire.
All right. So the initial 5, how do they get this set? Is it just
there's going to be
we gotta run for office?
Not a nominating committee, but a committee. There's like a temporary committee will be set up to appoint the Treasury Committee members.
Is there primaries?
I
With
don't
announced
know
running for
exactly
office?
how. I'm not entirely sure how, but so the key holders actually there's a specific vetting process for the key holders because they have obviously there's a significant security clearance concern and a fiduciary responsibility and all sorts of stuff, and they're not a paid position either. These are all volunteers positions, so it's
Yeah, they get paid in kickbacks.
that's yes. Well,
that was a joke, everyone. All right, it's just a laugh.
Yes, I don't usually laugh at things that aren't. Well, sometimes I do. I might be amused by something that wasn't intended.
When you look in the mirror, I'm sorry.
Oh no, dude! I have to look at myself all day long while I'm streaming. It's really quite.
My bad.
I mean, I'm not the most. Thank God I have.
All right, let's move on. Okay, more important questions. You're getting off topic here. This isn't about Piece's face. All right, this is about governance. All right.
Yeah. So I dropped this C-bill like I will write on the forum, but I want an additional drop to our.
No, there it is.
Yeah, there it is. It finally rugged. I don't know if Alex will be spinning up another one of these, afterwards since it rugged. But he will be on the Let's Go morning show with a panel for the weekly sip call. So I look forward to kind of hearing. I wanted to ask him about that node, since we had a community node to help fund some things too. It wouldn't be too expensive to get that started. To maintain it, would have to have just a little bit of a budget, right? Um, but it wouldn't. I don't. I need to look into how expensive it is because you need somebody to manage
You know,
it.
you need to kick up a
Somebody,
Bitcoin node too. So it's a little bit of a
yeah,
hardware, a little bit of a tech thing. Um, Honestly, if we did anything like that, I think the guy on a community side to talk to would be Wagme. I think he's already got most of that shit lined up, ready to go. But
yeah. I think that he would be a very good candidate for somebody that would be able to run it, not only run it, but run it in a transparent, like, not, yeah, it'd be very, he's got a good reputation in the system. So I think it's really good. It looks like Rosar has just joined us. Rosar, what's up, man? What's up, dude? How do you feel about that call with Alex? It looks like it
Wait,
rugged.
say it again.
Looks like it rugged. Alex got rugged from his own space.
Yeah. I'm going to share the nightly stream into the alpha chat. So if people want to continue talking about this, they can join.
yeah, that's a good idea. The
Yeah, do it.
I mean, well, look, Alex has done a fantastic job with talking to the community. I mean, he was just on for over an hour, right? This is, busy guy, obviously very passionate about making sure that this is a good collaboration between community and Stacks. And, we're going to be back at it in the morning. And there'll be more questions, of course. But I think that overall, we're in a really good place. I like that the community's so involved. I like that this has been very collaborative in nature. But at the end of the day, what you really need to keep in mind is we have to do something, and we have to do it soon. And this is shaping up to be the best. It looks like the best option by far. Oh,
What's up, Paul? How we doing, brother?
Hey, how's it going? Rocking our new profile pic over here. So, but
yeah, that's badass.
something
Yeah, it's good. Bro.
something zero put together. No, I mean, I really appreciate all you guys digging into like the details of governance, and trying to get good oversight on all of this. I mean, at the end of the day, we've always had quite a bit of trust in the people that are building all of this. Whether we all know Munib is very well off. A lot of these people are really very well off. If they really wanted to, they could go screw off to an island tomorrow. And so I think, in a lot of ways they're doing this for the mission, but it's really helpful because I think a lot of these people too view this as a career, right? And so you don't want to just kind of prolong a career as opposed to just, achieve the outcomes. So
That's a good point.
I appreciate you guys doing that.
Should more broke people be in charge?
Yes, put all the
We're
broke,
fighting for survival.
all the plebs, like all the plebs have
burn the ship.
the loudest. Dude, yes, for sure. I agree with that. That was a base take, Rosar. So one thing that we discussed on the morning show huddle was a community node.
I missed it. I was talking to my beautiful wife. What was that?
So we spun up we spun up a conversation about having a community node. Yeah. So what do you feel about that, Huddle? Like, what benefits do you think about having a community node? Is that something that we could get a grant for? You think that they would like to see happen? It kind of it helps with decentralizing the network more. and then it puts the community with the seat at the table, no matter what, really. You know?
Yeah. I would go maybe even far. What about a community validator for the bridge? I mean, there's quite a few people that are, and there's entities on there, but there's not like a community entity on the bridge, which could be kind of interesting.
And I think we're really missing a golden opportunity here. And again, it's because you don't want to get stuck in the weeds when you're dealing with like something that's already kind of revolutionary. But how cool would it be if the community had a seat at the table as a Stacks miner, right? Like this
Right.
is something that I've spoken to a few people in the ecosystem about before. Especially in a meme coin community in terms of like what it would look like to consolidate resources and to become a miner. Um,
Right. So what if instead of like having to fight tooth and nail and not fight tooth and nail, but like really have to struggle to make something like that happen, put a grant together and then use the endowment to, hey, how much are you really listening to the community? If they were to allow that to happen, then they're really putting their money where their mouth is, right?
it's just
You know,
at this,
like all
and I mean that once the structure's in place and everything, it might be something that could come up. It's just at this stage in the game, it's something where you don't want to like cloud this any more than it already has to be. Because it's been a lot to get where we are today versus where we were when the SIP was announced. Has been like just a absolute just sprint, and people just gradually like you know realizing and learning and forming their own opinions and having their opinions evolve this whole time. But in terms of the community itself, like that's not something that I mean it might be worth us just looking into, especially like on the Ucoin
yeah.
side.
I agree. I agree that you don't want to cloud things as much right now, especially whenever they're trying to clarify things. But you also there's a fine balance between not clouding things more and then striking while the iron is hot. Right? They're talking about, hey, we want to do stuff for the community and help people. Well, this would be something that would significantly help within the community. We would be able to fund things just from like fees and securing, Bitcoin to fund things, through these types of through that route. So I agree with you that like yeah, like maybe not talking about it immediately, let them like hone the idea down, get the best draft of the SIP before it goes to vote, and all that stuff is imperative. Like first, like most important. But then like I think that it should be for one of the first things that we speak about, like one of the first grants, because it could really help everybody.
I agree.
Well, that's
Yeah.
something too. What Alex and Rosar were saying a little bit ago is like, they're talking about, maybe you could put some of the treasury to work while it's sitting there, like you provide it as an LP or something like that. That could be something interesting to do for whatever gets allotted for community grants, right? So you could be getting fees off of some of that, but because that's going to be 5, 10, however many years worth of grants. So
Yeah.
you could do
So-
something like that where the fees coming off of it could help.
Yeah. I think
contribute
it would be
some
a
of that.
cool idea. Instead
me
of like
tell-
giving 10 teams like 10K, just getting like 100K and just investing it and then just having like a reward, like a game where it's like
Yeah,
use the
Rosa, I
yield and direct it
totally
towards different
agree.
projects.
I totally agree, but we are still waiting for our 10K from like last year. So the problem not in this problem that Stacks core team should understand that DeFi focused not make this chain sustainable. And I explain it why. I explain it on the voice and TLDR. So please take a look and spend some time since you are all in Stacks ecosystem, the natural things how it works. We have
Yeah.
all understand the each step how the miner how the miners spend their BTC. They are going to break even to sell their BTC to the market. and where the yield comes from to the stakers. Because the velocity of transactions is very important to make this chain sustainable. Otherwise, the price of stocks just dump, and this new supply, this new emission, 500 millions, just prolong this chain for 2-3 years, but nothing changes because DeFi but itself doesn't work since it's not the holy grail.
I
The
mean,
money comes from
you're
somewhere.
right, but at the same time, people buy XRP, people buy Doge. A lot of people don't know this stuff, and
Yeah, they buy
like,
because of market makers, because somebody put like
People are-
85%, and so we are here builders, we are here community. We cannot sit and say like, okay, let's wait market makers, the mysterious person who comes now and fund the stocks price. We are not about this thing.
yeah, I'm just saying, like, if we 100x just the amount of people that are interested in stacks, and like, that becomes not a big deal because there's just going to be so much more volume. It's going to become a
Yeah, but
like-
why they become interested in stocks? Because we have some products, right? Because
yeah, we
have
need
some
more
products.
innovations. We need more cool
Yeah,
cool shit.
yeah, but how can you present your innovation if our stocks core team was focused on DeFi only?
Well, I mean, that's fine for them. We just need more funding for everything.
Yeah, but to get this funding, we have to make the proof. That's why I tried to explain. We have to make this proof that they
Well,
have to understand that velocity of transaction is very important for
we don't need
their
to prove
network.
it. We just need to have people on the board who believe that. We need representation.
Yeah, maybe like this. Okay, if like Jack, whatever, like Peace comes to the board and they just listen them, we will build our ecosystem by our own.
Yeah, I think what's likely to happen, if I had to forecast it to the best of my ability, is we know that the DeFi part will bring eyes, will bring attention, will bring volume, and so forth. And I think that as so you take part of this endowment fund and you find it used for things like further development, onboarding developers, etc. You increase the size of the community because the big green candles have hit or are hitting, and as you find new metas and you find new things, like the community, I think the community is going to continue to build more things. And then if you have like Rosar, like what you were saying, Zenny, like if you have a board that listens and knows like this space, and they're like, yeah, Zenitron, it's a great idea. Like, let's put this, and see what we can do to figure out how to fund this new meta or this particular thing, whether it's games or what have you. I think it's going to work out. I do. I think that's going to work. Now, I say all that with the caveat that when I look at anything, I always just look at a big picture view of it. I don't get caught up on the minutia. I just see, okay, if A happens, then B, C, and D are probably logically going to happen afterwards. And I think that what we're talking about now will be covered by the increase in volume and so forth, like Rosar was saying, and just the natural order of things is going to be, yeah, you're gonna have new metas forming, you have new people working on these things, and you're gonna have more people talking about them, and then it's going to also be easier to attract even private investment from VCs if that's what's important. Um, I think we're on the way to that. I think we're the closest to that we've ever been. Just in this discussion aspect of it right now, actually, it's very promising.
Yeah, and I'll add to Zenitron, what you're saying. We look back in time at Stacks, some of its missed opportunities. Back when BNS and ENS were all the rage, we had a ton of people banging on the door trying to come in here and buy BNSs and do things with them and do all of this. If we had more bridges in, if we had fast transactions, if it was easier for people to bring stacks in or to bridge whatever token they have in, like there's a ton of different things that could have really helped during that time, and we could have captured that momentum, and we could have kept those people around. That's the worst thing to do, is when you do find a killer use case that is the meta, and then the people get turned off from it. And we've definitely made some progress there, but even more recently, you had Base was able to capture on all of these AI projects with virtuals and all of that. If we have the infrastructure in place, the next time something like that starts taking off, we have enough developers, we have enough volume, we're going to be able to capture that, and people will be able to do interesting things. And I think that's kind of the thing. You got to build the roads before the people are driving their car down the road to come to your store. So I kind of view it that way. You need some infrastructure. You need some people coming in and making it easy. I want someone to be able to pull up their Phantom wallet. They see something cool that Rue is doing, and they can just go buy Rue. They can just go do the cool stuff that they want to go do. I hate having to have people, where can I buy stacks? Okay, I got to buy it here. Oh, it takes forever to get it off the exchange. I can't transfer Sol for stacks. I can't do this. It doesn't take USDC. Like, all of those things are barriers, and people are just going to go, okay, well, that's kind of cool, but maybe it's not worth all that effort. And so if we can break down that barrier, and we have good devs here. We have great things that are getting built. And then you just add in more people and more devs. Like Rosar was saying before, it's just more swings at bat. We'll get there.
Yeah, I agree. Why I just make this question now, because we are working on this SIP and we make some proposal, and I make some proposal about non-DeFi products that build in Rosar, the organized show with GPC, they all together like different products, yeah. And I try to explain to Stack Score why it's important, because as I see Stack Score so focused on DeFi, they missed their important thing. I'm just drop this because the math behind the stacks is brilliant, but there is a product strategy is built in dilemma. The very DeFi products that creates a small amount of transactions, but velocity of transactions is needed to make this chain sustainable in economical aspect of view. So it's like contradiction, and I don't know. Maybe they don't understand even this thing, because what's going right now, the miners sending bitcoins after to make break even, they dump stocks on the market, and we need new buyers. If all of these new buyers will be for DeFi products, but API will go down because the API comes from fees. But DeFi products doesn't create the fees, doesn't create the volume, and this is a contradiction of how the interaction between the narrative, the main narrative about the DeFi and DeFi products works in on-chain transactions. So my point to explain this to StackScore team, now they can with open mind say yes, non-DeFi products is important to our ecosystem, because I can make a proof. It's not just Alex said, it's boring or not boring. We have a fun here. Let's make
Zenny.
social applications. No, it's not about social. It's about the mathematics.
Zenny, you keep bringing it back to this point, but we all agree with you. I don't. We're all in agreement here, so.
Okay, nice.
It's good. We all have stuff that's not core DeFi, and we all want that more exposure, so don't worry about it. We're all on the same page.
Thank you.
Same team.
What were you? Who was talking? What were we talking about? What's the train of thought?
We were talking about spinning up a node.
Yeah. And how does the voting work? Like voting for these seats that rotate.
They have not really explained that too much.
Is that something we can start? Organizing?
Yeah, like the next discussion should be about
Because
that.
it would be nice to like start getting vote commits or something. I don't know, just something to think about. Because it's like at a certain point, like at some point, this vote's going to come, and if there's something on it that
They
we
said
don't
within
like,
2
we
weeks.
need to be able to like collectively like vote something down. So having
Yeah, they said within 2 weeks. The discussions would take place for
give me
2
1
weeks.
second.
It's already been,
Step away.
so it's almost 2 weeks now. So I don't know if they're gonna like postpone it a little bit or if they're planning on shipping this SIP next week. Like I don't know. Like I mean it's not, in my opinion, it's not ready for something like that. We need to keep discussing this. And I know that this conversation was going on a long time before I heard of it.
Yeah, that was one of
I
my
mean,
critiques along the way was all of a sudden a shift just gets dropped to the community, and you don't see all of
hey,
the conversations going along that made it to this point.
Huddle, your mic is a little bit like underwater, Bubba.
All right, let me take the earbuds out.
Because I really want to hear what you're taking like on that, because I know that they were talking about this for a while. It seems like it, and I'm almost positive that they were talking about it in like marketing group or wherever it was. They were speaking about this for a long time, and now we only have 2 weeks to kind of discuss amongst the community with it as public information. And I'm not trying to FUD it or anything like that. I'm speaking from my perspective. Like, we need more time to discuss and get more clarity. Like, one draft is good, one edited draft is good, but we need more. We need more. Like, there's more clarity needed. It's
Hey
not
man, am I
enough to
coming in
push
better
to
now?
a vote. Way better, brother.
Yeah, thanks so.
All right, cool.
Thanks so. I just
Yeah, I was
make
just
this
saying,
proposal.
Go ahead, Zenitron.
No, go ahead. I'm just want to say, like, I will write this proposal tomorrow on Alex draft about our non-DeFi KPI. How can we invite new projects like Stacks community grants to make this system works for new dApps? And also, I will add about sustainability of DeFi. Maybe it should help to make consensus to find the friendship with Stacks core team and understanding that non-DeFi products is important for velocity transactions. That's all. Yeah.
Okay, so to dig into this topic, I think this comes back to what I was talking about earlier. Like, I don't think we should be using like non-DeFi. I think we should have subcategories, because I think there's a lot of stuff that's non-DeFi, and they're all like different. Like, let's talk about an area like music. Like, it's sort of no one really knows how to do with that on blockchain so far. Like, I haven't really seen any like hit products. I haven't seen any big artists come into crypto. Like, the people who've done music on crypto are like artists who just happen to like crypto. They weren't like brought in because there was a good reason to come. So, but like for the music case, I think we need like people who know how to monetize music, like experts at it, to then create this game plan for how to basically like, okay, say like, okay, these people are going to be hits. And this is how we're going to, create culture, or, do XYZ that's going to help the chain. And I think that's going to be a very different formula than, say, like, like NFT collections or something. I think it's going to be different for different things. And I think each one deserves its own sort of domain expert and own strategy. And we should tackle one by one.
I mean, I think Tory Lanez did pretty well with music on blockchain.
Let's
but not too many others.
Let's look at that. Do you have any let's I don't know about it, so I want to learn and see if it's like a good. We can like learn something from it. Do you have any like is there like an app
Let me
or
find
like
it.
a collection or something we can like look at and see like do like a retro on it, see what it did?
Yeah, and I mean, there has been, there's been a lot over the years that's been tried, and the unfortunate thing with some of this too is, it's a timing thing. We had people that were wanting to put like your fertility information on chain. We had people that were trying to do all kinds of different stuff through these different accelerators, and I mean, I think at the end of the day, having people within the community vote on it, like you're saying, experts, and if we do attract good talent to do these sort of things, we really don't know what will get a crazy amount of traction. But it's if you have enough information on the front end to be able to at least weigh, okay, this is a good team that wants to get a grant to go do something that's different. It's all this stuff is still open for. There's no definitive chain that's winning some category, so it's good to keep our eyes on everything that's out there, because Stacks could become the chain that is known for that. So
Click that link. Let's see what's going on there. So obviously this was good for the artist. I'm gonna guess the NFT is below the mint price at this point, so it's 4 years ago, but I still that still may mean it's attractive for the artist, and the fans may be happy to support the artist, which is totally fair. The question is why didn't I mean, I guess some artists do it, but like, let's see.
I think Snoop Dogg did a music NFT as well.
I just feel like selling music isn't a thing. Like, as someone who actually needs to collect music for like DJ sets, like I just torn it. Like my favorite artists, the way I pay them is for tickets and merchandise. I don't buy music. I'm just strictly speaking.
There
like,
was
my own
a
experience.
project I was reading about recently where they were doing, I think it was called like Story or IP or something. That they were allowing people to remix, current songs or whatnot, and then the creator would at least get some credit for like if it was restreamed or something like that. Things like that, like a platform that does that is, to me, I consider that pretty useful.
Nick Cannon resell, Boosie Collins, Super Buddha, Karen. I don't know who these are, but Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez is a very well-known artist too. So it's when it's dark. But yeah, I agree. Like music is untapped at this point. It may have like been poked through just a little bit, but it's untapped.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes like some things in life you don't need blockchain, to be honest. For example, I love music, but music doesn't need blockchain. And you talk about music because you're a great musician, but it's your personal thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like tickets are a much better use case for a chain because they naturally have a resale market that would, and most of the ticketing apps, they upcharge a lot. There's a lot of resale activity that could be better if it was like cross app compatible. I think that's just way better than music. It's just tickets to music events. But the thing is, like, you could build a perfect platform, but it's a network effect thing. You need people, production companies and artists and venues to actually use the platform. And then there's
Tory Lanez sells 1 million copies of his NFT album in 57 seconds.
Yeah, I think that's another kind of good example too, where it's like, to have the scale to be able to do something like that on Stacks, you're going to need way more users. And it's going to have to be very easy. Like if you sell that many albums in a minute, think about how many wallets are going to have to already be downloaded to do something like that.
Mm-hmm. It's like a distribution onboarding problem, I think, more than, like any popular, the fans will buy, super fans will buy anything from their favorite artist. Like that's just,
Yep.
the thing
They
is,
will.
how do we make it more than just
Well,
like sort of memorabilia collectibles, like
Well, that's what
something that
Trip
has
is
real
working on.
utility, like a
Trip is working on Rising Tide. Ticketing, live events.
yeah. Let's go to Rising Tide. Let's go to Let's check it out. Maybe I'll do one of my blogs on that. Let's learn about it a little bit. LinkedIn.
This is DeOrganized X Rising Tide. This
Does he have
isn't
any
the
links
right
to it on
shit.
his like Twitter page or anything?
I'm looking for a link from here. I don't know if there's a link on DeOrganized. Hold on. Let me go to DeOrganized media. There. So it's in coming soon. I don't know if he has it locked or what. I know that there was. All right, so coming soon. We're working hard to bring you a new and interactive show pass experience, connecting content creators and audience in a new, decentralized ways. Stay tuned. Show pass enable reservations online for live episodes, powered by Stacks Smart Contracts and SBTC. Powered by Stacks, Clarity Smart Contracts, and SBTC. How it works: show passes are your ticket to reserve a spot in the live audience and for interactive episodes. To participate, simply purchase a single pass or even a pack of passes for additional savings. Passes never expire, so you can use them however you want. Some examples of interactive episodes include Ask Me Anythings, which are AMAs, live Q&A sessions, giveaways, and sponsored episodes. Show passes can be used interchangeably for any episode. Use your passes to submit questions, interact with hosts, advertise your product, or enter giveaways. Keep your show pass activated to show proof of attendance and possibly become a target for airdrops. Or you can always recycle it and use it again for future episodes. But there's more to it than that with Rising Tide Protocol. Maybe if I get
my initial reaction is like, I don't think they need to sell users on it. I think they need to sell like venues on this concept. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Why would they use this no-name platform to sell tickets when they could just use like these like very vetted sort of enterprise-ready ticketing platforms that are,
because it puts more money in the pocket of the creators. It's a decentralized.
well, they don't care about the creators, they care about themselves. The venues, they're like, okay, is this going to sell me more tickets or less tickets? And they see it and like, well, no one has this app, so probably less tickets.
Well, I mean, this is just the start.
I'm just being devil's advocate here.
Yeah, I see you.
Yeah, I feel like for that, it's got to be a win for the venue and it's got to be a win for the artist. So like the savings would have to pass on to both of them, and you would have to have like a checkout with Rising Tide option or something.
Like some existing event platform needs like a integration to like this like decentralized ticket like protocol, because like there's event platforms like Luma, like we use for the events in Vegas, and also like Eventbrite, sort of things. They need they use like a ticketing system, and some may have internal systems, some may use third-party integrations to like Ticketmaster, AXS, but there needs to be like a third, I think, option for like new platforms. So I think they're probably the people that need to be sold on this in like a B2B sales sort of business development format.
Let's see if I can find something.
So the question becomes, who knows someone at one of these places we can get a conversation started?
Exactly.
What's a good app, I think?
For what?
Just trying to look at like some of the event apps I have. I'm just trying to open them up on my phone and see how they're working. I think it's this one, Partiful. Partiful's good. Let's see how Partiful does ticketing and paid tickets. All right. I'll just make like a new event. Okay, some of these interesting. So Partiful just does direct payment, like Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Maybe they should Bitcoin. Well, maybe. So that's like a payment platform.
Travala integrated Stacks payments for flights and hotel bookings and stuff. Why not? I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to sleep. See you all.
Thanks.
Have a nice day. Have a nice night. See you guys.
Have
Bye.
a good one.
So that one uses that. Yeah, this one doesn't really have like, it's not like tickets per se. It's more just like simpler, just direct payments.
I mean, the entertainment economy is huge. Think about bringing that to Stacks. That's what, I don't know. Like, yes, I agree. Big handshakes are needed, but like, I hope that a portion of this endowment could help with those handshakes to make something like that happen here.
So I'm looking at Luma right now. I can share my screen if
It's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
Useful to watch.
You know what's up.
All right, let's see where I can put tickets. Stripe. Accept payments. This calendar is not yet set up. So I need to connect my Stripe account. So this is like more, you need to have a full Stripe set up. Interesting. So one uses, what I looked up uses like just a payment platform, like, consumer payment platform, like PayPal, Stripe, Venmo. This one uses, or sorry, not Stripe, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. This one uses Stripe, which is more like businesses would have a Stripe account. These are all big companies. I don't see them introducing integration for something small. So yeah, tricky. At a certain point, it just feels like it's easier to just rewrite the whole stack to support the integration. But then you go back to dealing with the onboarding issue. You have to get people to install this new thing.
Sorry, I missed that last part. I had to go get some water, feed my dog.
Though a workaround could be, instead of installing an app, it uses like SMS, text-based. So you just like get like a text to the event.
Things that make you go,
Yeah. Big Not sure. I'm humming about trying to figure out what's like the the path of least resistance to get like NFT tickets on some sort of like platform that already has wide adoption. Trying to figure out a way to get NFT tickets in the door without having to have everyone install some entirely new ticketing app. Let's look at like Eventbrite, perhaps.
I would say maybe what it would be like a partnership with one of these, like Eventbrite or something like that, where they could do the ticket trading on there on like a Stacks layer. So it's not like you're having to create a whole platform that's like exactly like them, but you're providing an easier experience people can opt into.
Yeah, I'm looking at Eventbrite right now. Eventbrite seems to do it with their own system. Like it's in-house. Maybe the simplest solution is just like some simple app that just enables scanning, or I don't know, like just managing NFTs directly as a ticket system. So it's like you basically like you just buy it like you would in any marketplace. There's like a function you can call on the NFT to like redeem it, and like, or you burn it or something. I don't know, something like that, where that happens at the door, and then you sort of set this like low level protocol that other things can build on in layers. You still need people to get the wallet though, and fund the wallet and buy the NFT. Unless you could just drop it in their wallet. You need something like Blaze, I think, to like do an off-chain payment and then drop an NFT in their wallet.
Yeah. What you guys know? What is the top like mobile Bitcoin wallet right now? Would you say it's like?
I think Xverse.
You would think Xverse? I mean, I know it is for us in Stacks, but like just a normal.
I think it's Xverse across the board for Bitcoin. I think they're the most installs.
So, I mean, that's a huge help. Where like you could be able to brand it as like storing your, or you pay for it in Bitcoin and you store it in your Bitcoin wallet.
To be fair, Leather just launched mobile.
Yeah, but I mean, still, they there's no way they can catch up that fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do have. I'm just playing devil's advocate. They do have multi-chain swaps.
Oh yeah, I'm bullish on them.
Yeah, so
I just think today, if you were to take it,
I was taking a dig at you because you were playing devil's advocate.
You wanted to play devil's advocate too. I get it. It's fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I think it just starts with an app, like a little dApp to create NFTs for an event and sell them more or less.
That's what Rising Tide is. That's what the technology that Trip is using is NFT technology to do all that.
I mean,
Talk to Trip. You should talk to Trip for real.
I feel like what would be helpful is like you know, add this module to your site sort of thing. So that way you could just go and try and get venues, or you could try and get you could it's kind of like the send buy me a coffee button people put on their blogs.
Right.
Like I kind of see that as a way to onboard people to, check out or, use the Stacks experience instead of the other, where like if you could throw that button on a different, whatever you're trying to build.
The only problem is that button will require them to like connect to the Stacks wallet, unless, and as far as I know, there's only one place to do this, which is the buy with card option on Christmas Swap, where you can actually like go in, use like a Stripe account or Cash App or something non-Bitcoin, non-crypto, and then the output is some sort of token, like fungible or non-fungible. So that would be the closest thing that exists today. But I don't have non-fungible token support yet. I was thinking about doing that today. I've been procrastinating. But once that's done, like there's NFT subnets. You could theoretically buy an NFT with a card, with a Cash App or something. And then it just needs to be turned into like a buy with Blaze sort of thing.
What's the kind of unique identifier for that person then? Just like a username they make or something?
Yeah, you just use like their Stripe probably ID and then connect it to some sort of temporary wallet for them, or just create their Stripe ID and just like store, like just make note of like how many funds they have and either hold it in some central wallet or like proactively like create them a wallet and then just put it in it. The benefit of the central one is you don't need to like context shift into like their own wallet when you're like moving things around. It's a little easier management wise, but yeah, it's just a question of like operations versus,
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
makes sense.
because until they actually, there may be a lot of people who like use it and never make the wallet and they just want the funds back out at some point. And so at that point you're like creating wallets for people who never need them. So it might just be better to like create the wallet in real time when they actually want to like eject into on-chain. So, or like they may just send it to a wallet they already have. They don't need a new wallet, So, but that's kind of how it would go. Is like just have some unique ID and track their balances. It's like a little internal balance tracking system. Just wouldn't be on chain because they're not. It's like a layer 2 thing. Like they don't want it on chain.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just kind of like they have a slip as an IOU that they can go and
it's a little
Coinbase
Coinbase account, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, no different from like how Coinbase probably does it. So, or like MEXC, they just kind of put it in one big pile and keep track of it internally. Yeah. As much as I'd love to do this stuff, it's just a whole thing. It takes time, like weeks, months to like do this well. So I'd like to commit to it, but this is just one conversation of many. One idea we drilled into for like music ticketing. I digress.
All right. Yeah, and it's a lot more helpful too when there's a bunch of people. Like if you don't have to worry about marketing, you don't have to worry about trying to get people to get Stacks wallets and everything else. I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do with that same concept you were just talking about with like mobile apps or games or like a ton of different things. It's just people need to know stacks. They need to care, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just the buy side. Then there's also the conversation of like the redemption side that like the point of sale system would need to use. Like, you know, someone's working at the door, they're scanning tickets. Normally they use these like ticket scanning tools that like scan barcodes or QR codes. They need, you know, the system would need to produce a similar experience. Like, you know, this NFT links to a QR code that they could scan, then in turn, you know, marks the ticket as redeemed, something like that. And then, like, you know, their hardware, physical thing they're holding would need to know how to do that all right. I don't know anything about how that works, but you know, you wouldn't want to have them install something if you know could avoid that. So I don't know how configurable those things are. I should look that up. I wonder if anyone knows that. Yeah, this is like this conversation is best handled by someone who would work at one of these places, like one of these venues that deals with, you know, ticketing platforms and like scanning tickets.
Yeah, it'll help.
That's kind of where it starts, I think.
Yeah, it'll help too. We get more adoption. I think I saw every Square terminal will be a Bitcoin checkout option is coming. So,
yeah,
you know, a lot of these places have something like that. If we could kind of piggyback on that and just send it as a Bitcoin transaction and then do some cool stuff on stacks, you could just use Square as the point of sale device.
Okay, enough about that.
Yeah,
I agree. Like it's possible to solve itself, or I mean, and like Tripp's already kind of working on something like that. So hopefully he watches this and you know just is helpful.
Yeah, dude.
I'm done
All
thinking
right,
about it.
fellas. I think I'm gonna call it a night.
Yeah, let's call it.
Yeah, dude.
Take care, guys.
Through Hoddle, you're welcome anytime to come on, man. You know you're welcome. I'll add you to the nightly group, and if you ever have something to talk about, or you know Zero's got something going on, you know you're welcome to come shoot the breeze, man. So I'll add you to the group. Yeah, fellas, have a high frequency rest of your night. We're doing it again tomorrow, so I'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Sweet.
Peace.
Hey, take care, guys.
All right, guys. Peace. And this has been another based episode of DeOrganized Nightly, where we covered the Alex Miller's, you know, coverage questions with SIP 31. It has been a long day. I've been up since early and working hard all throughout the day to bring you the alpha. I am GP with DeOrganized Media. Be sure to catch the Let's Go Morning Show at 8:30 a.m. ET. And the DeOrganized Nightly segment at 7 p.m. ET, Monday through Friday. You know, base builders build on Bitcoin via stacks. That's all I got to say about that. Be very, very bullish because big things are coming. You guys have a blessed rest of your night. I'm gonna go get some food in me and you know, recharge my batteries and do it again tomorrow. You guys stay blessed. Peace.